This is the Dover Download Podcast. My name is Christopher Parker, and for the past 25 years, I've had the pleasure of working with, learning from, and talking to a variety of volunteer, staff, and community members. This podcast explores conversations, activities, and a variety of policies and programs which exist here in Dover to improve the community in one way or another. One of the unsung heroes here in Dover is the Rotary Club. They have done a tremendous amount of giving and community building over the past 50 years. My guest can tell us more accurately on that once we introduce her. For those of you who do not know, our guest is the newly anointed Rotary President, Kathy Bowden. Kathy, welcome.
Thank you.
So 50 years, 100 years, what's the real number?
We just finished our 100th year. So this is starting July 1st, is our 101st year.
So you're the 101st president?
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the Rotary Club. What makes the fundamentals of the Rotary Club?
Well, I like to succinctly say it's just a do-gooder organization. We earn money by running bingo every week, and we use that money to distribute it to various charities and community groups across Dover mainly, but the region and the state, and sometimes internationally as well. And we collect about $100,000 that we give away every year.
About how many communities in the area have independent Rotary clubs?
Well, I think in our district, which is this part of New Hampshire and southern Maine, I think there are between 30 and 40 clubs. So nearby us are the Rochester Rotary Club, South Berwick. There's one in Durham, Great Bay. So there's the South Berwick, all nearby Rotary clubs that we kind of get to know those members. We collaborate at bingo sometimes. So.
Okay. And how long have you personally been involved with Rotary?
I have been in for 4 years. I retired 5 years ago, and I thought that Rotary was a good organization to devote more of my free time to because they had been very good. I worked at the library previously, and they had been very good to the library by donating. Over 2 years, they donated $75,000 for children's room furnishings. And so I thought this was my way to give back.
To say they've been good to the library and the city in general, I think is an understatement. It really has been a beneficial relationship to the community as a whole. And as I said at the onset, I think they've been fairly unsung. Thankfully, Rotary does put its badge on a lot of the things it donates, but I really think that most people don't have the awareness of the collaboration that really has occurred.
I think there's a long-standing wrong reputation of Rotary that you have to own a business, or for the first 80 years, or maybe for 70 years that you had to be a man. But we are interested in talking to and recruiting anybody in this community who wants to help out on any sorts of projects covering everything from kids to elderly to community projects, gardening. So there's physical projects, there's writing projects, there's literacy projects. We help with the unhoused. We help supply school snacks. So there's probably a niche for everybody that wants to be involved. And we're looking for anyone who'd like to be involved, whether you're employed or a business owner or just a worker bee. We'd love to talk to you.
And what would the commitment be? What do people have to?
We meet twice a month at the 121 Broadway, which is the old Goss building. And we meet on the first and third Wednesdays at 12:15, and the meetings last about an hour and 15 minutes. So again, an old rule used to be that you had to attend. You don't have to attend, but we want you to attend if you can. We usually have a speaker from a community organization. We talk about upcoming projects. And then our other commitment that we ask people to get involved in is everybody joins a bingo team so that once a month you go and serve on your bingo team at the bingo hall in Rochester, which is how we make our money to be able to give away $100,000.
That is pretty amazing to be able to raise that much and then hand that out to worthy endeavors. That's really a laudatory thing.
Right, it is. We're working now with the Dover Housing Authority on a back-to-school project. We're working with a new project for us is with Seacoast Sweet Stitches, which is to create flannel mittens for the unhoused during the winter. We just started that project this past Saturday. We had a hands-on. We all learned how to make mittens. So hopefully we'll be making thousands of mittens this winter. So it's even little things like that. We do a meal packing event in March where we partner with another organization and put together 10,000 meals that go to local shelters or in cases of disaster relief. I know a couple of years ago we sent meals out to California after the wildfires. And last year, meals went to South Carolina and North Carolina after the flooding there. So there's things you can physically do that take an hour or two of your time, or you can commit to serve on a committee, which is more of a long-serving time commitment.
So I had the honor and pleasure of being at your induction ceremony, and I appreciated that you're going to have a book review or a book to recommend at each meeting. I also appreciated that you said, I might not have read it, but I'm going to suggest it anyways.
Well, there's 7 Rotary areas of focus internationally. So I'm a fiction reader, not much nonfiction, unfortunately, but I am going to bring a book to each Rotary meeting and introduce it at the beginning of each meeting, which focuses on some area of Rotary focus, this week it's on climate change. So I'm bringing a book on how we can help with the climate crisis. And last week it was a book on how to be an advocate or without using a bullhorn. And, so every week I'll bring a different topic and I will read the blurb and I will tell you about the book, but I may not necessarily have read it.
One of the things that I remember discussing with you years ago, and if you retired 5 years ago, clearly it was longer than that, was you told me, and I've actually embraced this myself, that you don't go backwards. If you missed a classic or if you missed a book that's highly recommended, if it wasn't in your flow at the time, you don't go backwards because there's so much good stuff to read now. The next classic is what you want to focus on. I love that theory.
It's kind of good in a way that I feel obligated to keep up with all the new stuff coming out and read it. But I feel bad, for instance, that I have never read, this is a confession, I've never read Anna Karenina or The Great Gatsby.
Having read both, I don't think Anna Karenina is something you should miss out on.
I know. I agree. It's on my bookshelf. It has been there paperback for a long, long time. But there's all this great new stuff coming out that I just have to read first.
I love that you're bringing that energy to Rotary. It strikes me from the conversations that you and I have had both in leading up to today and today, as well as what I have seen from attending a few meetings over the years as a speaker, et cetera, is that Rotary is really trying to be present as opposed to what it was 100 years ago. You mentioned a few minutes ago that up until 80 years ago, you had to be a man. It strikes me that Rotary recognizes that in order to be relevant, it has to be present and it has to be thoughtful about where it's going. Mm-hmm. How much of that conversation are you having?
Well, we do have a community giving committee, and they accept applications for projects or short-term things. Maybe it's a group we've never helped before. Maybe it's a group we haven't heard of before, but they submit an application and say they need $1,000 to accomplish this or $2,000 to run that. And so we're able to reach out to new groups all the time. So we want to get out the word to everyone in town who runs a social group or a charitable organization that they can come to us, fill out an application. It goes to a committee. They judge whether or not the cause is worthy. And so there are some things that we do year after year after year, and other things that we always try and initiate new projects and new members coming in, hopefully that way too. We're trying to grow our commitment to 75 members this year. So we're trying to sort of toot our own horn. We're great at giving away money, but not good at explaining what we do or how we do it or how you get money from us.
When I hear club and when I hear membership, I think limited. Do you have a unlimited potential from a membership standpoint, or is it a capped?
No, it's not capped. I think getting to 75 would be really good in a year, which would mean adding 20 new members. And it's good to have that flow of older members and newer members. And some people have historical perspective or remember back in 1972, we did this and that didn't work or, that kind of thing. And then people with new ideas is really good. So there's no cap. We could be 100 members. With a city the size of Dover, I don't see why we couldn't be well over 100 members, but it's a goal to try and attain. but a lot of people do know about us, and they come to us for help. And we work on projects all over for all kinds of groups and all kinds of ages. And we do a lot with food insecurity. We do a lot with housing, supplying mittens and backpacks and clothes and tents and things like that for people who need them. And we have a milk and egg program where people who go to the local food pantries can get looks like a coupon from Rotary, and that's good for a dozen eggs and a gallon of milk up at Genados.
Wow.
And at the end of the month, we go up to Genados and collect the coupons that they've collected, and then we pay them. So there are hundreds of coupons going out every month. We have a shoe and boot program that the schools know about, that if a counselor at a school realizes that a child doesn't have a particular pair of sneakers or needs boots for winter, that they can give them a coupon that's good for Red Shoe Barn. The person goes to Red Shoe Barn, they get the shoes they need, and then we pay Red Shoe Barn. So it's being distributed by people who know who needs what, not by us. But we just pay the bill, and that's been going on for years and years. We supply snacks for schools, kids' closet, we call it. And that happens all the time. And it's sort of always in the background, and it runs super efficiently. And we help all year round with that type of thing.
You mentioned the bingo fundraising. If someone wants to just donate, can they go on to a Rotary Club website, or is there another avenue? If someone wanted to say, I'd love to have more time to commit to do some of the actual hands-on, I can't, but I really love your mission and want to support you.
Our website is doverrotary.com. I don't know, I can't remember if there's a donate button there, but you can certainly email us at doverrotarynh@gmail.com and say, hey, I want to give you $100,000. We'll surely answer you right away.
I bet you would. I was thinking more in the $50 range, but if you don't ask for 100, you can't get 100.
That's right. We have a student of the month at the Dover Middle School, and that's kind of a fun thing that the teachers actually pick who is the student of the month. And we have a little ceremony, and the kids don't know who's going to be nominated. They all come in, and then it's announced, and they get a Student of the Month t-shirt, and they get a $100 Amazon gift card. And then they can choose another organization for another $100 gift card, which we will then donate in their name to that charitable organization. So that's always fun. That's a fun thing to go to. We do that once a month. We sponsor an Interact Club at Dover High School, which is like Rotary for high school students, and hopefully they'll grow up to be active citizens. We also have a lot of scholarships. We do vocational scholarships for people going into the trades who need tools for those trades. We give $250 scholarships so they can buy those tools. Of course, we give scholarships to high school seniors as well. We give scholarships to the Dover Adult Learning Center. We give scholarships to the Dover Housing Authority because they have a camp that they can send their kids to. So I think this year we sponsored the tuition for 6 or 8 kids to go to summer camp from the Dover Housing Authority. So that kind of thing as well. And there's a scholarship application, and there's a chance to get money for school or vocational education, whatever you want to do. Every 3rd grader in Dover gets a dictionary. It's part of our literacy project. Nice. And so we go to all the elementary schools and deliver dictionaries, which is a whole lot of fun because we have fun trying to stump us and to spell words.
I heard there's an extra copy of Anna Karenina out there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a 3rd grade material, but...
But you don't know.
Yeah. So we also work with the Chamber a lot. We're a sponsor, of course, of the Kachiko Arts Festival. We have the Rotary Gardens up there and the Rotary Pavilion, which just got a fabulous new facelift.
Yeah.
We are a sponsor of the Festival of Trees and, work with any community group. We sponsored some of the Dover Race organizations. So it can be a one-time thing or it can be a long-time project, like needing a coupon for milk and eggs every month.
I really appreciate you coming in and explaining to the listener and to myself the variety of activities that Rotary is involved with and the commitment that Rotary has. It's really spectacular to hear. And you're one of my favorite people anyways, but it really adds to that. Hearing all these things that you're harnessing and leading. Yeah. You're a great leader for it, the organization. I'm sure it'll be better off for that year plus maybe, that year, no.
I think our next project might be something at the Dover Middle School because they're looking to build a basketball court. up there. So we're looking into that at the moment. So there's always something new, but you've got to keep up with the old as well.
Right. So. Right. Well, I appreciate you coming in today and encourage people to get involved. You gave the website and the email earlier. People should definitely check you out and see how they can participate.
Right. Well, we welcome anyone, and just got to be willing to get your hands into a project and not necessarily get dirty, but at least we're fun. If you want to make mittens or you want to weed gardens or work at bingo, we're happy to welcome any volunteers.
Great. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
The month of June was focused on athletic fields here in Dover. Now that that's all been resolved, what did the council and the planning board do in July? We're going to find out with Brian Early and Aaron Bassegio, talking to us about what happened in the month of July here in the city of Dover. Welcome, Brian.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, thank you. Well, the council had a fairly light agenda in July. They had 2 regular meetings. July 9th, they approved 3 resolutions related to groundwater monitoring and exploration for fiscal year 26, which began on July 1st. The city council authorized to continue contracting with longtime water consultant Emery and Garrett Groundwater Investigations. One resolution continues to groundwater monitoring around the city at numerous wells, which are near the groundwater wells. They also include sampling for potential contaminants, and they also monitor aquifer levels to help the city plan its management plan. Another one just deals with the monitoring of the Pudding Hill Aquifer, which was contaminated by a nearby metals recycling operation. Part of the 2021 settlement with the metals recycling company's owner provided funding for not only the new water treatment facility that removes the PFAS and other contaminants, but also provides funding for monitoring the aquifer for a period of time. And the third resolution authorizes the consultant to continue searching for new sources of water around the city. July 23rd, the City Council authorized additional funding for the Fifth and Grove reconstruction project to cover unexpected expenses, including both construction costs and construction oversight. That project is nearing completion right now. They also had first readings on several budget adjustments, all of which require a public hearing on August 13th and a vote on August 27th. One resolution would rescind the December 2025 authorization for design money for the sports complex project for $2.5 million. They rescinded that because when the council met in June, they authorized the full amount for the entire project was a little over $18 million. The second resolution will rescind the 2024 debt authorization for Fire and Rescue South End Addition project, as a fire and rescue recently leased space on Crosby Road, reducing the immediate space needs for the station. A third resolution would reprogram $278,000 of unused debt that has been already authorized to retrofit part of the Liberty North Fire Station, recently vacated by inspection services into a training facility. The council also received a report from its ad hoc committee to address community housing needs. And Chris, what could you tell us about that?
So this report has been put together over the past couple of years. The ad hoc committee, which has stakeholders from a variety of areas in the community with housing relationships. And it's looked at the need for the unhoused. It's looked at needs for affordable housing for those that have housing but really need more variety of housing. It's a 45-page report. 15 pages are recommendations, and I think that they really can be broken down into 3 different areas. One that looks at funding components, financial components, one that looks at zoning and regulatory components, and one that looks at outreach and education components. Coming up soon, we're going to have a sit-down with Abby Galway-Burke, our housing planner, and she's going to walk us through more detail of that report.
And lastly, the City Council, they received a donation from Mr. Handyman of Dover to support improvements at the Community Trails Rotary Trailhead at the Dover Transportation Center. I know, Aaron, you're sort of community trail person.
I'd say that. We received a very generous donation from a local business, My Handyman Dover, and those funds are going towards some trailhead improvements for the Transportation Center trailhead. Deb Clough and the Dover Doers are planting some nice plants in the area and just kind of improving that trailhead.
That's all I got.
All right, Brian. Thank you for all that detail. Aaron, what's going on in the land use world?
I'll start with Planning Board. Planning Board only meets once in the months of July and August, so they've only had one meeting in July. Kind of the theme of the meeting was lot line adjustments and conditional use permits. There were 2 lot line adjustments approved, one on Rutland Street, one on Bayview Road, 3 conditional use permits, just kind of summarizing them. There was one on Saddle Trail Drive for some minor impacts related to a retaining wall, wetland buffer impacts on Cornerstone Drive. That was for a single family residence that is proposing a garage on site, and some conservation district impacts on Boston Harbor Road for the reconstruction of a single family home, as well as some site grading for the project. There was also a TDR application that was considered by the board. This had previously been considered with an increased unit count. This version of the plan came back to the board with a proposal for 16 total units at 25 Dover Point Road. That was approved by the board. The request was for 6 additional units through TDR, and the board, again, approved up to that total amount. That could still change in the final design. It could be a less amount. It could be up to the full 16. Also, on Littleworth Road, a site plan and CUP were approved for a light industrial building. The CUP was for wetland buffer impacts associated with the construction. That's part of a large-scale project that we've talked about recently. Most recently, at the last planning board meeting in June, there was a conditional use permit request to essentially create an overlay zoning district on site, which is called a residential commercial mixed-use district. So this project is within that zoning overlay. And finally, they approved posting an additional zoning amendment, proposed zoning amendment related to solar roof and green roof requirements for larger structures, typically industrial buildings. In all of those zoning amendments, again, these are just proposed amendments. Residents will soon be receiving a mailer about these amendments before they can go back to be considered and potentially actually put into action.
Aaron, thanks for the planning board update. Did other land use boards meet, or is there anything on the general land use front we should update the listener on?
Had a couple other land use meetings. July is kind of a light month, but the Energy Commission met this month. They're continuing their discussion on the wastewater treatment facility solar project. They will actually soon, the city will soon be going out to bid for the project to select a contractor to actually move forward with that project. And they also were talking about community power rate settings. The city put out a number of communications about an increase for utility suppliers for the rates this period. That's a 6-month period that gets set. There was information put out by the city on how to review your rates, as well as how to switch suppliers if you'd like to do so. If anyone's still interested in that information, they can go to communitypowernewhampshire.gov. Finally, the Arts Commission had a big month. They met in the beginning of the month to talk about some big projects that they were bringing to completion, one of them being working with the Dover Public Library on a mural in Park Street Park, which was completed. And finally, after a lot of fundraising by the Arts Commission and a lot of help from the Community Services Department on installation, there is a new sculpture on Central Ave leading into Joe Park's garden. So that was very exciting.
It is very exciting. Thank you for that update. We'll meet up with you and Brian in August and see what happens then.
Sounds good.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Dover Download this week. If you like what you heard, subscribe through your favorite podcast aggregator. And if you have something you want to hear a topic on, let us know. Finally, this is just one of the many ways we share information about the city of Dover. You can subscribe to the Dover Downloads email newsletter every week or other newsletters that we have by going to the City of Dover homepage, www.dover.nh.gov. Have a great week.